Od katowni do bykowni krwią skąpana ziemia, odkąd dławi Ukrainę ciężka ręka Kremla. Szlak ubity przez lud bity, śmierci przeznaczony, rozwścieczyli się bandyci, partii szwadrony, nauczyciel czy inżynier, maszynista, siewca, zbóż, im ktoś lepszy, tym go szybciej, hen na szafot, hen pod nóż. Zabijali bez wyroków, winy nie szukali, krew niewinnych przepadała w wozach dno ze stali. Gdyby w lesie tym zabici wstali w jednej chwili, drzew czy nawet ździebeł lichych im by nie starczyło. Zbrodni tej okrutnej, krwawej zapomnieć nie sposób. Głos zabitych nawołuje. Trwoży serca popiół. Polish will celebrate the 81st anniversary of the Katyn Massacre by going to the Katyn Memorial in London and lighting up a candle for the victims of probably the biggest murder and human disaster in history, which was the Katyn murder by Soviets on the Polish officers. A few words about the Katyn Memorial. Katyn Monument in London was the first monument ever in the West that has been constructed, and it happened in 1976. That is 36 years after the actual Katyn murder took place, which was the spring of 1940. It's located in Gunnersbury Cemetery in London, and one of the most important things to remember is that many people have worked towards building this monument. It was also very controversial because a lot of the Soviet and Russian, at the time communist government, did not want this monument to be erected at all. So how did the monument has been conceived? In October 1971, an Anglo-Polish association called the Katyn Memorial Fund was established in London, and it was headed by Lord Barnaby, who was the member of the British House of Lords at that time. The committee was composed of other lords, like Lord Oswald and Air Navy Toby Jessel, and also the British writer Louis Fitzgibbon, author of books on Katyń, who was also appointed an honorary secretary. The design of the monument was actually together with Count Stefan Zamoyski. So the monument in Katyn, of Katyn in Gunnersbury has aroused a very big interest from Polonia, of many countries across the world, especially in Western world, obviously, because in Poland we never knew anything about this until much later. And at the same time, it was arousing a lot of concerns from the authorities of the Soviet Union. The Soviet ambassador to the United Kingdom at that time, who was Vladimir Semyonov, strongly protested against this project and wrote a letter to the mayor of London, of that borough of Kensington and Chelsea, and he demanded that he is not allowing this monument to be erected. So finally, on July the 1st in 1976, Gunnersbury Cemetery solemnly laid the foundation stone for the construction of the monument, Katyn Monument. Despite further protests by Semyonov, who was the ambassador of the USSR at that time, who called it a provocation. And despite of all of this, the monument was opened on the 18th of September in 1976, and around 8,000 people attended the ceremony, including representatives of Polish public life and foreign visitors. And the monument was unveiled by Maria Chełmecka, the widow of Tadeusz Chełmecki, commissioner of the border guard, murdered in Tver. Today is the 81st anniversary of the Katyn. Katyn Monument has been raised here nearby in Gunnersbury Cemetery, where we are today. And today we came here to say our prayers and our deep thoughts to all the victims of the Katyn. What I also would like to say that there were many people who have worked very hard for this monument to be erased here in Gunnersbury, because a lot of people, especially from political scene at that time in the 70s, where this Katyn Memorial has been raised, a lot of people were opposite this idea, especially the government here in Britain, but also the government of Russia, who was protesting. But many people who have contributed to this Katyn Memorial to be here. One of those people is General Ludwik Ząbkowski, who is lying here, who has died in 1973. We say thank you to him. He's a very honorable general of the Polish army, on the Andes army, who fought in Monte Cassino. And thanks to his work and many other Poles like himself, this Katyn Memorial has been with us here. Thank you.